When you think about history, are there lots of old guys wearing wigs and stockings? When you think about history, is Napoleon really short? And folks have wooden teeth. Do you know that history can be the most incredible, amazing stories for you and me? Sit back and listen to a story right now. It's honest, it's fun, and it's sure to.
Hi, young historians. Welcome to another episode of Anytime Now. I'm Brooke, co-founder of Honest History. Are you as excited about this episode as I am? I sure hope so. We're about to dive into another story-filled adventure and learn something new. And remember, by learning more about the past, you can make a positive impact on the future. So pack your bags and let's go.
Every October, the best baseball teams face off at the World Series. You might see legendary teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, or the St. Louis Cardinals go head-to-head and bring home the trophy. But looking around at those baseball teams, you can't help but notice something. Only men seem to play professional baseball. Or do they? A new women's professional league is starting this year in cities like New York, Boston, LA, and San Francisco. But this isn't the first time women have stepped up to the plate. Did you know women played professional baseball over 80 years ago? And during World War II, people traveled miles just for a chance to watch their favorite players battle it out on the field. Grab your baseball gloves, young historians, because today we're traveling back in time to learn about the women who made baseball history. This is the story of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. Our story begins in 1866 in Poughkeepsie, New York. A young woman in a long skirt steps up to home plate. She adjusts her wool cap and looks out at the field. She is a student at Vassar, an all-women's college, and she plays for their baseball team, the Resolutes. Because there weren't many female players in the 1800s, the Resolutes were the only women's baseball team in the country. To play a game, they had to split their team in half and play against each other. The pitcher winds up and throws. The batter watches the ball zoom towards her and swings. The ball launches high into the air towards left field, and the batter takes off running. The left fielder backs up, keeping her eye on the ball as it flies towards her. She puts her baseball mitt up to grab the ball, but it bounces off her mitt and falls to the ground. Oh no! She scrambles to pick it back up and flings it to second base, but it's too late. The batter slides across home plate just before the catcher can tag her. "Safe!" the umpire yells. The Resolutes played for 12 wonderful years before their parents, worried the girls would get hurt, made them stop. But the spark had been lit. By the early 1900s, women's and men's baseball teams were springing up across the country. Men had been playing professional baseball since 1869, and the competition was fierce. The men who didn't make the cut played on semi-professional teams that traveled from town to town playing games for fans. These men got paid, but it wasn't enough to play baseball full-time. They needed to work another job. Women also played baseball or softball on their own semi-professional teams. They'd play whoever they could, men or women, college teams or club teams. Just like the men, these female players would barnstorm or go from town to town, and people would come out to watch their games. Some women were even talented enough to play on men's teams. In 1907, 17-year-old Alta Weiss pitched for a team called the Vermilion Independents. Seeing a woman pitch was so rare that over 1,000 people came to her first game. And eventually, special trains had to be set up just to bring in all her fans. Alta saved the money she earned playing baseball and used it to go to medical school. There weren't many female doctors at that time, so Alta was breaking barriers on and off the field. Over the next few years, baseball grew more and more popular. Soon enough, it was known as the country's national pastime. But the world of baseball was about to change. On December 7th, 1941, Americans tuned into their radios to hear the shocking news. Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The very next day, the United States officially entered World War II.
I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
Baseball was suddenly far from people's minds. Many male baseball players traded in their cleats for combat boots, boarding ships to fight on the front lines in Europe and the Pacific. The commissioner of baseball, Kennesaw N. Landis, wondered if there was any need for the sport during the war. "Should we keep baseball going?" he asked President Franklin Roosevelt. "Absolutely," the president replied. "I honestly feel that it would be best for the country to keep baseball going." Roosevelt knew that baseball would boost the country's morale, and this was very important during a time of war. People needed something to look forward to. But with the men gone, who would play? The owners of the Chicago Cubs and the Brooklyn Dodgers came up with a brilliant idea. If men couldn't play baseball, then why couldn't the women do it instead? They were already filling in for men at the factories, so why not on the field too? P.K. Wrigley, the owner of the Chicago Cubs, envisioned a brand new women's league. He wanted these athletes to play in big cities and earn a real salary so they wouldn't need a second job. In 1943, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League was born. Now, it just needed its players.
Hi friends, are you enjoying today's episode? I'd like to take a quick break from the story to tell you about another great place to learn about the past. Honest History creates magazines and books for kids that are filled with fun stories and activities that bring history to life. From pirates to spies to great inventions and so much more, you'll learn about interesting people, places, and events from around the world that made history. Created for kids ages 6 through 12, you can sign up and receive new adventures delivered straight to your doorstep every quarter. Just visit honesthistory.co. That's honesthistory.co to sign up today. Oh, and here's a special offer for our podcast listeners. Use code ANYTIMENOW for 10% off. Again, that special code is ANYTIMENOW. Okay, let's get back to the story.
Hundreds of women showed up to try out for the exciting new league. One of these women, Dolly Nemiak, couldn't believe her eyes. "When I walked in," she said, "I was stunned. To see all these other girls my age throwing the ball like I did, swinging, sliding, and I thought, where did all these gals come from?" Out of the hundreds who tried out, only 60 women were chosen for the first 4 teams. The Racine Bells, the Rockford Peaches, the Kenosha Comets, and the South Bend Blue Sox. Some of these players were just teenagers, like 14-year-old Dorothy Dottie Schroeder, who became one of the league's most popular players. "I wanted to play ball so bad, so I stayed," Dottie said. "I liked playing ball so much, I just wanted to play. I was so young that the thought never crossed my mind that I wouldn't make the league." These women all had one thing in common. They lived and breathed baseball. Norma Hitch Whitney remembered begging for a baseball glove for Christmas when she was 12. "Girls don't get baseball gloves," her mother told her. "If I can't have a glove, I don't want anything," Norma replied. Thankfully, her dad bought her one. Although some parents didn't like that their daughters had to live away from home, they couldn't deny it was a great opportunity. The women earned up to $100 a week, which was incredible compared to the $30 a week they earned working in factories. But the league owner, P.K. Wrigley, had some very strict and sometimes very frustrating rules. Wrigley wanted the women to play like professional athletes, but look like ladies while doing it. He set up a beauty school to teach them how to dress, fix their hair, and put on makeup. Every team had a chaperone who made sure the players were in bed 2 hours after the game, took care of them when they were hurt, and made sure the players always acted ladylike. The women had to wear dresses when they weren't playing baseball, and if they cut their hair short, they would be kicked off the team. According to Wrigley's rules, the players had to look like ladies on the field too. Instead of pants, their uniforms included skirts that went just above their knees, which were not easy to play in. You try to bend over and pick up a ground ball, and you've mostly got skirt and no ball, remembered catcher Lois Youngin. The skirts flew up when the women slid into bases, and the hard dirt was not clean on their legs. I did a lot of sliding, and the uniform didn't offer that much protection, player Shirley Jameson remembered. I spent most of the season with bruises on my legs, and believe me, you never thought twice about sliding. You were being paid to play. When the league first started, the women played a type of softball rather than baseball. Now you may be asking yourself, what's the difference between softball and baseball? Well, in softball, the ball is bigger and the pitcher throws the ball underhand. The bases and pitcher's mound are also closer to home plate, so the players don't run as far. In baseball, the ball is smaller, the field is bigger, and the pitcher throws overhand. A few years into the women's league, the ball got smaller, the field got bigger, and the players started throwing overhand. Every season, their games looked more and more like baseball.
Popcorn! Peanuts! Get your popcorn, hip!
The league was a massive hit, and the fans' dedication was extraordinary. During World War II, gas was in short supply because it was being used for the war, but the fans didn't let this stop them. Somehow, they found the fuel to drive to away games to cheer on their favorite teams. Pitcher Gene Fout remembered, "We had very, very enthusiastic fans, and in fact, some of them would drive to away games. I don't know where they got the gas, but they got it." It was grueling work. The women played 6 nights a week, with 2 games on Sundays. They even played on holidays, riding buses and trains and staying in people's homes instead of hotels. But they wouldn't have traded it for the world. As catcher Jackie Matson said, "The first time I put that uniform on, I cried. I stood there for a little bit after I was dressed and I said, this is it. This is it." But not all the best female baseball players played in the All-American League. During World War II, America was segregated, and Black American women weren't allowed to try out for the Women's Baseball League. Segregation was a policy where people were separated because of the color of their skin. In many parts of the U.S., Black and white Americans weren't allowed to go to the same schools, restaurants, or even sit near each other on a bus. And because of segregation, Black and white Americans couldn't play on the same baseball team. But Black athletes still found a way to play ball. The men started their own professional league, and the women played alongside them. Toni Stone was the first woman to join the men's professional baseball team. And unlike the women of the All-American League, Toni refused to wear a skirt. At least 11 other Black women would follow in her footsteps to play men's professional baseball. Even after World War II ended, the All-American League kept breaking records. The men had returned from the war to play baseball, and yet people still crowded the stadiums to watch the women play. Their games drew more than 900,000 fans in a single season. But in the 1950s, something happened that changed everything.
No, wait.
More and more Americans were buying TVs and setting them up in their homes. Suddenly, people could watch men's baseball from the comfort of their living rooms, and attendance at the women's games dropped. With fewer tickets sold, the roaring stadiums grew quieter. In 1954, the All-American League played its final game. Though the league ended, the women's incredible efforts stand the test of time. Pitcher Gene Fout threw 2 perfect games, meaning no hitter ever got on base. She remains the only pitcher in professional baseball history, male or female, to ever accomplish this twice. Dottie Schroeder batted in a massive 431 runs, and Betty Foss held a 346 batting average. Even if you're not quite sure what this means, just know that these are some impressive numbers. 45 years after the league began, these amazing athletes finally got the recognition they deserved when they were given a permanent exhibit in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Their story even inspired the famous movie A League of Their Own. If you watch the movie to the end, you'll see some of the real players on the screen. But for a long time, many of these women didn't bring attention to their role in baseball history. Player Sue Parsons told her son about her time on the Women's League, but his friends were shocked when she practiced baseball with them. "My son Bob said, You know, I thought every mother could throw a ball like that. His friends would come over and they'd be throwing a ball, and I'd get in and start throwing it with them, and they'd say, "Oh my, your mother can throw." But even if they didn't talk about it often, the women never forgot those years on the baseball field. I just know that I love the game, remembered pitcher Gene Fout. I always loved it, all my life. And I wouldn't take anything if I had the choice of switching from playing ball to something else. I just loved the game, and the All-American League was beautiful. So, as you tune in to watch the Women's Professional Baseball League this summer, remember, they weren't the first women to step up to the plate. Just over 80 years ago, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League made history, inspiring generations of girls to play ball.
Welcome back! What did you think of today's adventure? We hope you learned something new. Be sure to share the story with your friends and family, and use what you've learned today to go out there and make a positive impact on history yourself. That's all for now, but if you want to learn more about important and amazing stories from the past, be sure to subscribe to Honest History Magazine, where you'll discover stories from around the world. Thanks for listening. This episode was written by Ann Zivotsky, edited by Heidi Coburn, narrated by Randall Lawrence, and produced by Robot Pirate Media. Special thanks to Annika Orrock and her book, The Incredible Women of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. To learn more about Honest History, visit us at honesthistory.co and follow along for updates on social media.